All right, so this is going to be another movie review. This one's called The Conqueror, 1956. I'm giving it 5 out of 5 stars. This is going to be one of those so bad that it's good type movies. The movie poster says, I am Temujin, barbarian. I fight, I love, I conquer like a barbarian. U.S. epic historical drama film directed by Dick Powell, who also did the Jet pilot. Which I'm not going to watch because the disc lied to me. Actually, Netflix was correct. The disc said, flip it over and watch Jet pilot. So I flipped it over and it said, no disc. Also, I said I was going to check my Robinhood tomorrow, but the stock market's closed due to President's Day. I don't think he has school. It's directed by Dick Powell, written by Oscar Millard. The film stars John Wayne as the Mongol conqueror, Genghis Khan. Before he was Genghis Khan, he was known as Temujin. Co-stars Susan Hayward, Agnes Moorehead, and Pedro Armendáriz. Produced by entrepreneur Howard Hughes, the film was principally shot near St. George, Utah. Despite the stature of the cast and the respectable box office performance, the film was a critical flop. It was often ranked as one of the worst films of the 1950s and also as one of the worst films ever made. Wayne, who was at the height of his career, had lobbied for the role after reading the script, and he was widely believed to have been grossly miscast. He keeps bumbling his lines like he doesn't know English grammar. The Conqueror was listed in the 1978 book, The 50 Worst Films of All Time. Wayne was posthumously named a winner of the Golden Turkey Award, awarded to movies and performances considered the worst in history in 1980, in the worst casting category for his performance as Genghis Khan, Temujin, in this film. In the years since its release, the film additionally garnered controversy for its filming downwind of a nuclear testing site, which sparked debate among historians and biologists over whether or not it caused multiple causes of cancer among the cast and crew. Gee, I wonder why. Mongol chief Temujin, later to be known as Genghis Khan, falls for Bortai, the daughter of the Tartars leader. He steals her away, precipitating war. Bortai spurns Temujin, and she is taken back in a raid. Temujin is later captured. Bortai falls in love with Temujin, and she helps him escape. Temujin suspects he was betrayed by a fellow Mongol, and he sets out to find the traitor and to overcome the Tatars. Excuse me. All right. Of the 220 film crew members, 91, comprising 41% of the crew, developed cancer during their lifetime, while 46 or 21% died from it. When this was learned, many suspected that filming in Utah and surrounding locations near nuclear test sites was to blame. Although the number of cancer cases among the cast and crew is in line with the average for adults in the U.S. at the time, the precipitation of a link between the film's location and subsequent illness remains, not least because many of those involved in the film developed cancer at a younger age than average. Parts of the film were shot in Utah locations such as Snow Canyon, Pine Valley, Leeds, and Harrisburg. The exterior scenes were shot in the Escalante Desert near St. George, Utah, which is 137 miles or 220 kilometers downwind of the United States government's Nevada National Security Site. And consequently, it received the brunt of nuclear fallout from testing active in this period. In 1953, 11 above-ground nuclear weapons tests occurred at the site as part of Operation Upshot Knothole. The cast and crew spent many difficult weeks at the site, and producer Howard Hughes later shipped 60 tons of radioactive dirt back to Hollywood in order to match the Utah terrain and lend realism to studio reshoots. The filmmakers knew about the nuclear tests, but the federal government had assured residents that the tests posed no hazard to their public health. In other words, once again, the government lied. Director Powell died of cancer in January 1963, 7 years after the film's release. Armendáriz was diagnosed with kidney cancer in 1960, and he shot himself in the head like Kurt Cobain. In June 1963, after he learned his condition had become terminal, Wayne, Hayward, and Moorehead all died of cancer in the 1970s. Hoyt died of lung cancer in 1991. Van Cleef's secondary cause of death was listed as throat cancer. Some point to other factors such as the wide use of tobacco. Wayne in particular was a heavy smoker, and Wayne himself believed his stomach cancer to have been the result of a 6-pack-a-day cigarette habit. Can you imagine smoking 6 packs a day? John Wayne was Catholic too.
Oh.
But he was kind of dumb. He was mumbling his lines the whole time. That got my son's attention. 6 packs cigarettes a day.
That's crazy.
That's like smoking one every 10 minutes. Agnes Moorehead was a non-smoker, teetotaler, and health fanatic, yet she died of cancer. Sort of like my mom's hippie friend who she got breast cancer, and she tried to use a holistic medicine to treat her breast cancer. She ended up dying. Her mother, Mary, maintained it was working on the Conqueror, which ultimately killed Agnes. Several Wayne and Hayward's relatives who visited the set also had cancer scares. Michael Wayne developed skin cancer. His brother Patrick had a benign tumor removed from his breast. And Hayward's son, Tim Barker, had a benign tumor removed from his mouth. Reportedly, Hughes felt guilty about his decisions regarding the film's production, particularly over the decision to film at a hazardous site. He bought every print of the film for $12 million, and he kept it out of circulation for many years until Universal Pictures purchased the film from his estate in 1979. The Conqueror, along with Ice Station Zebra, is said to be one of the films Hughes watched endlessly during his last years. I posted the Cinema Snob movie review link in the description, and he talks about a lot of this stuff. Dr. Robert Pendleton, then a professor of biology at the University of Utah, is reported to have stated in 1980, with these numbers, this case could qualify as an epidemic. The connection between fallout radiation and cancer in individual cases has been practically impossible to prove conclusively, but in a group this size, you'd only expect 30-some cancers to develop with 91 cancer cases. I think the tie-in to their exposure on the set of The Conqueror would hold up in a court of law. Several cast and crew members, as well as relatives of those who died, considered suing the government for negligence. How do you do that? Claiming it knew more about the hazards in the area than it let on. In other words, the government lied again. Since the primary cast and crew numbered about 220 and a considerable number of cancer cases would be expected, controversy exists as to whether the actual results are attributable to radiation at the nearby nuclear weapons test site. Statistically, the odds of developing cancer for men in the U.S. population are 43%, and the odds of dying of cancer are 23%, very near what is found in this film crew. This statistic does not include the Native American Paiute extras in the film. It does not take into consideration that they all died at an early age. The Conqueror received an A classification equivalent to a PG rating in the US. This just said rated G from the British Board of Film Censors, but it also required cuts to attain the rating. The film premiered in London on February 2nd, 1956, before its Los Angeles premiere on February 22nd, and official theatrical release on March 28th. The film also had premieres in Washington, D.C., Paris, Rome, and Manila. Its premiere in Berlin led to a riot as young fans from East Berlin, which was part of East Germany, but was not yet separated from West Berlin by the Berlin Wall, stormed past the DDR border troops to see John Wayne. After Universal purchased the film rights in 1979, the studio released the film on DVD as part of their Vault series on June 12, 2012. DVD I got was disc 2 of the John Wayne 5 movie collection, Pittsburgh and the Conqueror, rated G. And it says Universal. So I don't know what the Vault series is. But I got the Universal 5 movie collection. All right. The critical response was negative. A.H. Weiler of New York Times called the film an Oriental Western. You got to see John Wayne with his Fu Manchu mustache with a script that should get a few unintentional laughs. Yeah, that's why you watch it, for the unintentional laughs, namely John Wayne bumbling his lines. Weiler wrote that John Wayne gave an elementary portrayal of Genghis while constantly being unhorsed by such lines as, "You are beautiful in your wrath." Variety called the film a fanciful, colorful tale suggested of the vivid period with a daring dash-do that pays off. I like the color on this. The marquee value of the John Wayne Susan Hayward teaming more than offsets any incongruity of the casting. Ed Shallert of the Los Angeles Times wrote that the film had a storming quality about it overall, which unfortunately makes some of the love scenes seem all but laughable. Yet Powell deserves much credit for maneuvering the fierce and sensational battle scenes, which are a big highlight when Mongols and Tartars clash. So it is the Tartars. It was misspelled on Wikipedia earlier. Harrison's reports wrote that the general audiences should be more than satisfied by the thrilling battle scenes and strong romance, but the story does not come through the screen with any appreciable dramatic force, and the acting is no more than acceptable. John McCartan of The New Yorker called the film pure Hollywood moonshine. You never saw so many horses fall down in your life. Still, even though their tumbling is far superior to the antics of the actors, it presently becomes tiresome. Time magazine wrote that Wayne portrays the great conqueror as a sort of a cross between a square-shooting sheriff and a Mongolian idiot. The idea is good for a couple of Snickers, but after that, it never wanes, but it bores. No pun intended. The Hollywood Film Bulletin called it a rambling and rather ordinary Western-type spectacle. The weakly contrived narrative is singularly lacking in dramatic tension. It's difficult to see this Temujin, for all his high-flown cries to heaven to support his destiny as a potential world beater or as even an amiable bandit. He is merely John Wayne struggling with an unfortunate piece of casting in which such embarrassingly silly lines as, "I feel this Tartar woman is for me." The Philadelphia Inquirer predicted success for the film. Should be a 3-bell ringer among the popcorn set. The film is aptly titled after 111 minutes of gore and intrigue, Wayne sets himself up as Genghis Khan and Susan Hayward beside him. Screenplaywright Oscar Millard and producer-director Dick Powell have done competent work. The film is listed in Golden Raspberry Award founder John Wilson's book, The Official Razzie Movie Guide, as one of the 100 most enjoyably bad movies ever made. I tend to agree with that. The film was the 11th most successful film at the North American box office in 1956, earning $4.5 million. But then we go to the trivia section in IMDb. And oh boy, it just goes on and on and on. Okay, let's start out with the first one. The film is sometimes called an RKO radioactive picture. It was filmed near an active nuclear test site in Utah, where 11 tests had reportedly been carried out in the year before the production landed there. The set was contaminated by nuclear fallout, but the Atomic Energy Commission assured Howard Hughes and the local population that the area was completely safe. Lies. Photographs exist of John Wayne holding a Geiger counter that reportedly made so much noise that he thought it was broken. After a location shooting, Hughes had tons of contaminated soil transported back to Hollywood in order to match interior shooting done there. Over the next 30 years, 91 of the 220 cast and crew members developed cancer. That's not including the extras. 46 died, including John Wayne, Susan Hayward, Pedro Armendáriz, who shot himself soon after learning he had terminal cancer, Agnes Moorehead, John Hoyt, and director Dick Powell. Lee Van Cleef had throat cancer, but he died from a heart attack. The count did not include several hundred local natives who played extras or relatives of the cast and crew who visited the set, including John Wayne's son, Michael Wayne. A People article quoted the reaction of scientists from the Pentagon's Defense Nuclear Agency to the news. "Please God, don't let us have killed John Wayne." As of June 2011, the article is available in its archive online. The box office failure of this movie was ultimately responsible for the demise of RKO Radio Pictures. John Wayne regretted playing Temujin so much that he visibly shuddered whenever anyone mentioned the film's name. He once remarked that the moral film was not to make an arse of yourself, trying to play parts you're not suited for. Eccentric billionaire Howard Hughes backed the film financially. He paid to ship 60 tons of soil to Hollywood for retakes, unaware it was radioactive. He later paid $12 million for every existing copy because of guilt. After many cast and crew were diagnosed with cancer, he kept a tight hold on the film, not even allowing it to be shown on television for years. Universal bought the rights to the film in 1979. According to the Hollywood Reporter, it hasn't been seen by the public for 21 years prior to the purchase. Allegedly, Paramount obtained reissue rights in 1974. Hughes reportedly called the choice of the film's shooting location the worst mistake of his life. John Wayne took his role very seriously. He went on a crash diet and he took Dexedrine tablets 4 times a day. Many of the Mongol extras were played by local Navajo Indians. They didn't wear any makeup. This was Howard Hughes' final motion picture project, ending his 30-year involvement in the film industry. Jet Pilot, 1957. A film he produced in 1949 was not released until 1957. Included in the 50 worst films of all time and How They Got That Way by Harry Medved and Randy Lowell. All right. I think I covered everything in this one. Oh, Karate Man's in the chat room. Hey, Karate Man. I didn't even see you. I was reading off IMDb. Two underrated Hong Kong kung fu action movie recommendations: Twin Dragons, Jackie Chan, and High Risk, aka Meltdown, with Jet Li. 1995. Oh, Lee Van Cleef was in Escape from New York, 1981. So I guess he didn't get throat cancer and a heart attack until 1980s. He was one of the few members of the cast who didn't die at an early age. Lee Van Cleef. All right. I guess I'll look up these two movies on Netflix to see if they're even on there. If it's Jackie Chan, I don't think it's on there because I've watched all the Jackie Chan DVDs on Netflix. I've reviewed them all. But maybe it's on YouTube. I'll check that too. Guess he doesn't like the cheese on it. It's cold by now. I think I'll stick it back in the fridge and reheat it later. All right. So we got Twin Dragons. Karate Man's the only one who doesn't have difficulty finding my videos. My live streams pop up, and he's able to see them somehow. Okay, Twin Dragons, not on Netflix. High Risk, 1993. And no, that's not it. Meltdown, 1995. I'll add that one. Go back. Let me see if I can find Twin Dragons on YouTube. So I'm going to delete the Jim Wynorski movie that I just added. And I'm going to add Meltdown. Why is YouTube taking so long? Just want to go on the homepage. Search bar, please. Oh, there we go. Twin Dragons. Yeah, I found Twin Dragons. It's got 1.3 million views. It was uploaded 4 months ago. Is this for real? Or is it just clickbait? Well, I'll add it. And turn the sound off, of course. I don't know if it says it's in English. It's got subtitles. So I'll add that to my list. Now let's go through my list. After I add Meltdown. I was going to do 3 movie reviews today, but then I took 4 naps. I guess I'm tired from working 6 days, but I didn't make much money. I've got to find a job that pays more. God help me. I've got to do it by next month. Just watch a couple of years from now, I'll be helping him find a job. All right. So Pittsburgh, the Conqueror double feature. Overall, I'm giving the disc 3 out of 5 stars. I loved the Conqueror. I hated Pittsburgh. I'm probably going to hate Scream 3 with Wes Craven. The good news is that I take them to the library three times a week. So I'm saving money on gas and dinner. I just give them Cheetos in a snack bag. I don't have to go back and forth between San Francisco and San Mateo twice. It would be nice if I could get a job in San Francisco. But then where do I find parking? Around Market Street. All right. Meltdown. Come on. It's telling me to wait. Okay. Yeah, I remember Lee Van Cleef had that earring, right? In Escape from New York. There are a lot of movies called Meltdown. It's quite a common name for a movie, but anyways, I'm trying to pull it up. Oh, here we go. Jet Li. I had no idea that Karate Man was a Jet Li fan. Okay, shall I go down my list now and get it over 40 minutes? This is going to be a long video. And I've got to take my son home pretty soon. Of course, I'm working tomorrow morning, but then I get to do grocery shopping and take a long nap. So, should be good. I should get good sleep tomorrow. Heading into Tuesday, I'll watch Scream 3 at my valet parking job. So I'm on episode 99 out of 126 on You Bet Your Life. Maybe I'll finish it this month. Cross my fingers. Identity Unknown, 1945. Chain for Life, 1952. Untamed Women, 1952. Texas, Brooklyn, Heaven, 1948. Beast from Haunted Cave, 1959. Moon of the Wolf, 1972. Hurricane Smith, 1992. Showdown, 1993. Best of the Best 2, TNT, 1997. My Dear Secretary, 1948. The Mystery Man, 1935. Bride of the Gorilla, 1951. Letter of Introduction, 1938. Dick Tracy versus the Mole, Season 1, Episodes 9 through 12. Devil's Island, 1939. Angel Town, 1990. Mercenary, 1996. Night Fright, 1967. DEFCON 4, 1985. Santa Fe Trail, 1940. Renegade Girl, 1946. Passport for a Corpse, 1962. Black Dragons, 1942. Cyborg Cop 2. Drums of the Desert, 1940. Shock, 1946. It Lives by Night. Train to Tombstone, 1950. Did I already mention this? I guess not. Deputy Marshal, 1949. Broadway Limited, 1941. The Strange Woman, 1946. The Fighter, 1952. Bamboo Gods and Iron Men, 1974. Zero Tolerance. Ulterior Motives, 1992. The Big Chance, 1933. I'll See You in Hell, 1960. The Case of the Eiffel Tower, 1955. Three Desperate Men, 1951. The Star Packer, 1934. The Devil's Hand, 1961. My Outlaw Brother, 1951. Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. Talons of the Eagle. Riders of the Whistling Pines, 1949. Portraits of Terror, The Final Curtain. Safe and Effective, A Second Opinion, 2022 is the year for Safe and Effective, A Second Opinion. Malibu Crush, 2022. Dead Tides, 1996. Easy Money, 1936. Swing High, Swing Low, 1937. An Eye for an Eye. The Real Anthony Fauci, 2022. Return to the Batcave, The Misadventures of Adam and Bert. The Giant Gila Monster, 1959. Shadows on the Stairs, 1941. The Bigamist, 1953. The Unholy Four, 1954. Triple Cross, 1966. Hold Me While I'm Naked, 1966. Head, 1968. 1990, The Bronx Warriors, 1982. Exterminators of the Year 3000, 1983. Platoon Leader, Penny Serenade, 1941. Creature from the Haunted Sea, 1961. War of the Satellites, 1958. The Black Raven, 1943. He Walked by Night, 1948. They Were So Young, 1954. Whatever It Takes, 1998. One Dark Night, 1982. Cipher Bureau, 1938. Sinners in Paradise, 1938. What Price Crime, 1935. Maytime in Mayfair, 1949. You Walk by Night, 1948. The Strange Love of Martha Ivers, 1946. Tarzan the Fearless, 1933. Monstrosity, 1963. Diamond Trail, 1933. Sinful Cargo, 1936. Youth on Parole, 1937. All Name the Murderer, 1936. The Chase, 1946. Impact, 1949. A Stranger in Town, 1943. Half a Sinner, 1940. The Devil's Hand, 1961. Captured in Chinatown, 1935. Rimfire, 1949. Tales of Robin Hood, 1951. The Magic Sword, 1962. Bandit Queen, 1950. Crooked River, 1950. Marshal of Hell Dorado, 1950. Colorado Ranger, 1950. Bandit Queen, 1950. Wild Weed, 1949. Strangers of the Evening, 1932. Renegade, Devil's Partner, 1961. Fist of Glory, 1991. Night of Horror, 1981. Jungle Ground, 1995. Scanners 2, The New Order, 1991. Scanners 3, The Takeover, 1992. Scanner Cop 2, 1995. Great Guns, 1941. Hardy Saps at Sea. Charlie Chan, Murder Over New York. Best of the Best 4, Without Warning, 1998. Excessive Force, 1993. Don't Look in the Basement 2. The Mad Monster, 1942. King Kong Lives. Drum, 1976. Extreme Justice, 1993. Hillbillies in a Haunted House, 1967. And Twin Dragons, last but not least. The very last Karate Man recommendation. He's trying to play catch up. So I got comments from Karate Man, Adrian, and Professor Quiz. Professor Quiz recommended The Postman. Adrian mentioned Hillbillies in a Haunted House. He also, and then Karate Man asked me what Sylvester Stallone movies I had in my Netflix queue, so I answered his question. You got to use the restroom? Okay. All right, I'm up over 37 minutes. And Karate Man just sent me 2 more recommendations, which I added to Netflix and YouTube. I had the first one to Netflix. No, I added the first one to YouTube and the second one to Netflix. All right. That's the end of my review. Thanks for hanging out, Karate Man. Laters.